5-time world champion Formula 1.
Are you going to stand up?
So you're surrounded here with a bunch of young professionals, right?
Yes.
So I want to take all of you all back to 1991.
Yeah.
How old do you think Lewis was in 1991?
5 years old.
He was 5 years old, spot on. Right?
No.
We have a couple of things.
Six.
Not spot on. We know that your dad actually gifted you one of our prized possessions that I'm pretty sure, a go-kart that probably started your interest with.
It wasn't 1991 though.
Was it not?
No, I got it when would have been probably 92.
92. Okay, just a year. Okay, so great. It's a learning session for you and I, right? So we just want to know a little bit about how it actually started with your career with Formula One, and in terms of support with family, how has that been with you?
Well, it's been the core base of what I do, but
Right.
I spent the weekends with my dad. I live with my mum. They separated when I was 2, and on the weekends, my dad's this awkward. He's just awkward with me. He's like, "What do I do with this little kid? He's like running around. He's got all this energy. What do I do with him?" And he could see that I was really into cars. We went to a local shopping mall, and I found this radio control car, and they put batteries in it and let me drive up and down the aisle.
Great.
And for some reason I remember it, but anyways, he bought me that radio control car. And then a next door neighbor built models, and he had this bigger radio control car, and and it was super quick, and he was racing it around the neighborhood. And I came outside fascinated, and he said, "Do you want to go?" And
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of crazy because I could have easily destroyed the car. Anyways, I drove this thing, and I was so good at it, my dad couldn't believe it, so he bought me one.
So have you always seen yourself doing motorsport, or was there something that, alternatively you would have opted for?
No, racing was like the thing I loved most.
I think the only thing I did in school was probably chess. So indoor games were.
See, I couldn't sit still, so
Right.
yeah, I can never sit still.
Which explains
I can now, but back then.
that you also have a hidden talent. Did you guys know that Lewis Hamilton can actually
Dance. That's really enough here, right?
that too? But he can also unicycle, right?
Yeah, I can.
So speaking about unicycle, you would need balance and you need focus. So is it something that you learned in school, or was it something you picked up watching YouTube?
No, but it's funny enough, actually, when I went to race in Italy when I was 13.
Okay.
So from go-karts in England, I'd won multiple championships in England, but then if you really want to be professional at karting, you have to go to Italy. That's like the center of the universe for all the best racing drivers. So I went there, and at the time, Nico was the golden child because he was the ex-Formula 1 world champion's son, and he was in the best team, had the best of everything. Anyways, he used to ride around on a unicycle. I'm just super competitive. I'm going to do that. So I literally got a unicycle, and I literally would just picked it up.
In Italy?
Yeah. It took me like a day or so.
Great, so you went there
And then I could go backwards and forwards, and I could do jumps and.
Amazing! So you went to Italy for a motorsport, and then you picked up another sport. So you're pretty much, easy to adopt.
Yeah,
Right?
I think just generally, if I say I'm going to do something, I generally do it.
Great.
So that I think that's just always been my mentality. Like, if you can do it, I can do it, kind of thing. And
Sure.
it didn't always work at school. Like I'd sit next to one of my friends, he would just do things really easy, and that was not the same for me.
How about preparation as an athlete in motorsports? Because we know that you deal with a lot of G-force, and I mean, if you're racing for about 2 hours, I'm not sure whether it's a rumor that you actually lose a lot of weight. and you lose a lot of water.
Yeah, I do.
So is that like true? And how is it for you? Let's say if you need to go to the toilet, how is it like?
It's the worst. Actually, just in the race in Singapore, like nearly halfway through, I was like, I needed to go to the toilet. And it's really, really horrible because it's so bumpy in the races. And there's no suspension, so you only got the tires squishing a little bit. And so you're feeling absolutely everything. The car's touching the ground, and your butt's literally right next to the floor, basically, because there's not much carbon between your butt and. Anyway, so you're feeling everything, and the compression is not really helpful. But there's drivers. Before I joined, when you guys used to have Michael Schumacher was in the team.
Yep.
And so when I joined in 2013, the mechanics that I had were his previous mechanics, and he used to tell me that he peed in the car every time. I just can't bring myself to personally pee myself,
Right.
because it's just odd.
Just in the soup and you.
But anyways, there was one race years ago that I really needed to go, and I couldn't. It's hard to do sitting down with your legs up.
So there you go. You heard it from the man.
But no, I mean it's the preparation is really key, and finding your core, finding your own way. You know, when I first got to this sport, everyone was like, you have to look like this and talk like this and be like this to be a world champion. And that came from all the older drivers that had the past drivers.
Yeah.
And I found my own way, and what works for me probably won't work for someone else, but everyone just has to find their own unique way of doing it. It's the same for all of us in doing what we do. Yeah. You can't do the same as that person does and prepare the same way. You have to find your own routine. And getting the good people around you, finding the right team that can help support you, because everyone has to have a team to support you.
I read a small article that you wrote on your Instagram about the reason why karate was such a pivotal sport for you. Mm-hmm. Would you like to share a little bit as to why karate was something that you chose?
Growing up in the smallish town of school, I was getting bullied by the bigger kids. I was one of the smaller kids in school. Mm-hmm. And I think I was 5 or 6, and I'd had at least a year or so being bullied and thrown around by these kids, and just picked on and ordered to do things. And I remember I was always a fighter, but I didn't have the ability, I didn't have the tools I didn't know the know-how to defend myself. And it's weird how you remember certain things, but I remember I don't even know how I knew about karate, but I was in the back seat of the car. Parents were in the front, and I remember taking my seatbelt off and saying, I pulling him coming forwards and saying, "Dad, can I go to karate?" And I just remembered I wanted to be able to look after myself, and so I went to karate. And you start off as a white belt, make your way up, which is hard, and it's a lot of discipline. It's a lot for a 4 or 5-year-olds to stand there and be like this and not be laughing. So I was always in trouble because I'm fidgeting all the time. Right. And but I finally got through it, and I'd go. I think it was like 1 or 2 days a week. Mm-hmm. So that taught me so much about just having confidence, and then, as I said, being able to defend myself. And it's not about being able to attack people. It's being able to throw people, maneuver, take them if they're coming towards you. Yeah. Send them off in another direction. And it was really great because I remember I got to the point that I didn't get bullied.
Good job.
And I was able to, there was a couple of, when I got to senior school, there was one kid, that was seen as a kind of a geeky kind of kid, didn't fit in the cooler group, because there's always a cooler kind of group and a super smart group. And anyway, so I was generally able to deal in between a couple of different groups, and anyway, so he would help me catch up with work from school, because it was so easy for him. But I was racing all the time, so he would help me and I would protect him. And so often I'd get someone would come running to me from when I'm on my lunch break and say, "Oh, Jonathan's being attacked, someone's on it." So I'd run over and I'd be able to support him and get. It felt really, really cool. I felt like Superman. It was super cool. But yeah, that taught me. I think probably the biggest thing was the discipline, which not all youngsters generally have, and I think that's really transcended through that's what helped me do what I do and train and prepare.
I realized that you're a man with a lot of tattoos, and we realized on the back that you have what's written called "Still I Rise." All right? Could you just tell us what does that actually mean to you?
I think it probably tangles back into when I was a kid, you know, and
Right.
just I think also when my brother was born, I always wanted a brother. I had got two older sisters, and the younger one was actually she kind of was always like my hero, because my older sister would always bully me because I was a little runt, you know. I wasn't, and it's crazy because now I'm super close to both of them. But the reason I got Still I Rise is my brother would always he's disabled, so he'd struggle to walk, and we'd play together. He'd be in his wheelchair, but he didn't want to be always in the wheelchair, so he would run, stumble, get back up. Never ever complained once. I've never in all my life ever heard him complain about falling over. Just get back up. And I realized that was quite significant in my life. And just put a lot of things into perspective, because we all take a lot of stuff in life for granted, don't we? All health and the things that are around us. And I think at a young age I realized that. And then I read the poet by Maya Angelou, Still I Rise. Then Tupac was my favorite rapper, still is, and he did the album Still I Rise. So it just became quite symbolic in my life. And I remember I wanted to get a tattoo. My sister married a tattoo artist, but I couldn't get a tattoo at the time. So for years I was like, one day I'm gonna get a tattoo, and I wanted to get my back done. And
So these are actually things that I've actually gone through your Instagram. You don't follow anyone. Why don't you follow anyone though?
Because I followed a bunch of people, and then I just realized, I don't know, I think I got to a point this year, and then I was really trying to kind of reset myself, make some changes in my life. And look, I wake up every day and I go through messages and you got WhatsApp, you got iMessage, you got email, phone calls and Snapchat and Instagram, and I was like, I gotta cut some of these things out because I don't have enough time as it is.
Do you find them toxic?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try and do a clean slate and kind of remove myself from social media somehow, whilst also still trying to be present, because I've really got an incredible following. I never thought that I'd have a following like that. So, and then I'm like, if I'm gonna post things as well, I'm gonna try and make sure that they're actually impactful things that I do post, whether people like it or not, rather than just constantly posting a selfie, you know, which people all do, you know. So, anyways, I unfollowed everyone, and also I meet people along the way, like, and they'll be like, "Oh, you don't follow me." Oh my God,
Which happens.
And I didn't realize you followed me first thing. And I'd have it constantly, and I'd have people, friends would be like, "Oh, you posted that thing for that person, but you didn't post the thing for me," and I'm like, "Jeez." So, and then so there's other things as well. So I just removed myself. Now no one can ever say you don't follow me, because I don't follow anyone.
Great. Okay. So
I tried to follow people this morning.
And
I had to go back and like start to follow people. I got to 15, and then I got super anxious, and I just unfollowed everyone. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Okay, we'll get into a rapid fire round. So rapid fire round are just questions I'm going to throw at you, and give me your first answers.
Okay.
Right. Question number 1. What would be your favorite Formula 1 track?
Silverstone.
Silverstone. Great. Name 3 people that have inspired you, and why?
My dad, just being an incredible father, and my hero, dedicating his life to helping someone else succeed. Nelson Mandela, because he was just the humble approach to life he had. When I read about him coming out of prison after someone put him away for so long, and came out and had tea with that person, and just had no remorse, no negativity, and then led a whole country. And Muhammad Ali.
Nice.
Yeah, just because he's just the greatest sportsman that ever lived. It's very, very difficult when you're an athlete, or for anyone anyway, to your ability and have confidence, but to be able to speak about it and be witty about it like he did, he was insane, man. Like say, I'm gonna whoop your butt, and actually go whoop your butt. I don't have that I have that confidence. I know I can say that to myself, but I'm never going to say it publicly because you get a lot of trouble if it doesn't work. But he was able to do that, and he was just, and then again, he's just for the things he stood for. He stood for what he believed in, no matter what other people. Because when you're in the spotlight, everyone tries to inflict their opinions on you. I love how he stuck to his own guns.
All right, and that's the amount of time that we actually have for today. Thank you, Louis.
Pleasure.
We'll open up for question and answers. We have time for 2 questions for those who'd like to ask. Yes?
Okay, my name is Zul from Group Digital.
No, it should always be ladies first, yeah.
All right then. Save the best for last.
Okay.
Okay, how do you deal with haters?
Haters.
Yeah,
Block.
this is the actual haters. Just
I don't really have to deal with it. Like there's haters and
Just don't deal with it.
I read a book. I don't know if you've read the 4 Agreements. It talks about never taking anything personally. That's kind of how I am. So I don't really take. I see often if there are haters, it's often a reflection of something they're feeling about themselves. Because often I don't even know that person then. So I don't really. There was a period of time where when I was younger, it affected me. Seeing the negative things because I only ever mean. Good core values. I'm a family man.
Yeah.
Of course, I like to have fun and stuff still, and I'm not perfect, but it wasn't great. But then eventually I found a way to basically give $0, is what I say, and just not care about what people would say. And it's not easy to do that because we are affected by social pressure and all that kind
I
of
think the best reaction would be no reaction.
No reaction?
Yeah. Just don't say anything to your haters, basically. Just move on.
Oh,
Move up and forward.
I just keep my head down and do my job. When I was younger, my dad, on the track, there was a lot of bullying and a lot of negative and a lot of racism. And my dad just said, just do your talking on the track. So I'll go out there and I'll whoop everyone's butt.
Do you talk to the track?
And we would just leave just dead silent, and it was good. So that's how I am kind of right now. Even there is stuff always written about me in the papers and a lot of stuff that's made up as well. And I want to fight back because that's how I am. I want to tweet about it, but I'm only going to bring light to it, and I don't. So instead I just go about my business, and people who know me, and let my racing and the things that I stand for and my values and things that I try to project out there, for example, my social media, do kind of reflect who I really am.
There you go. One more question.
Because I go to meetings with my team and I doze off sometimes, so I can understand losing focus at some stage. I don't know. I think it's just really always making sure that your goals are constantly in view. You've always got them present. So for me, I always know what my goals are. Every year I set myself a list of goals, targets, and I don't reach half of them during the year. Like one of them might be learning a language, and I don't ever get there, but it's on my mind and conscious that I want to do it. So even if I happen to reach one of the goals, there's always something else for us that's also on the list. And I've just always been with that mindset of being kind of overachieving. So I set myself a goal, but the target's kind of beyond it. So you actually never really reach a goal. So people ask me how do you keep coming back every year? Because I've had really good seasons, but I've never had a perfect season. And I've had lots of ups and downs. There's always areas that you can improve in. And it's weird because I found in my 30s that I'm absorbing more knowledge than I did when I was younger, which is supposed to be the time when you learn the most. I'm absorbing more now, and I'm understanding. I'm working with a large group of people. There's nearly 2,000 people in my team. And I'm like, how can I get the most out of you? How can I extract the best out of you so then you extract the best out of me? And so I'm learning all these different dynamics and studying a lot, reading a lot about characteristics of and how people move. And just always just trying to. I know that I can be better, and I think ultimately I know what I can. I know that we're all like shining stars, bright stars, and I feel like I have this tattoo here. This is powerful beyond measure, and we are powerful beyond our understanding. So I'm just trying to explore that always. So my advice to you is just you've got something that each of you have something that no one else has. And it's for you to discover it, and for you to sharpen it and make it as great as it can be. So, I don't know if that helps or not, but Also, I drive at really high speed, so I have to stay focused.
And there we go. The last question. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. Once
I've
again,
given you long answers.
ladies and gentlemen, before we adjourn to a group photo session, can I have Vice President of the Petronas YPC, Nabila Farhana, to give a token of appreciation to Mr. Lewis.
Pleasure. Oh, what is it? Secret.
Yes.
I'm going to check it out later.
You can give me a sign later.
I don't have a pen.
Oh shit.